Welcome, everyone. It's so nice to have you today attending our workday time tracking training. Uh, I'm personally very excited for this change from Kronos to Workday, and I hope that everyone shares that excitement with me. Um, it is a big impact for mostly our hourly employees. I know for Exempt, it's not as big of an impact, but still, I welcome you to share the excitement with me and my team. So with that, I'm going to share my screen and a very short PowerPoint presentation. Let's see. Okay. So today we're really going to talk about we're going to touch on major changes and what those are. We're also going to very briefly touch on terminology changes, talk about resources that are available to you as we transition into Workday time tracking. And then really the bulk of today will be the demonstration. In the demonstration, I'll show you how we're going to be using absence, which is our time off module, and what that means. Okay. So time here, let's see. Oops, sorry about that. Major changes. So starting January 2023, specifically the change is effective on December 31st, simply because that's the beginning of our biweekly pay period. But for you all, just know that as of January 2023, you will no longer be using Kronos, okay? Really, the major impact is going to be a visual new experience for us all. It's going to be very different than what we're used to in Kronos. Changes and updates will be immediate in Workday currently because of a file that is sent from Workday to Kronos with changes and updates that we make. It does take a 24-hour timeline for Kronos to update. Just know that with Workday, because it's one system, everything's going to be available right away. Okay. There is going to be an approval process for any absence requests. So currently we have that available in addition to being able to enter pay codes in Kronos time cards for vacation time, sick time, etc. Just know that that's a big change that we're going to experience. Pay codes are no longer going to be, at least time off pay codes are no longer going to be available on time cards. For you specifically as exempt employees, you won't have a time card. So there's that big change too. So you will not be approving any time cards in Workday. Okay. And then mobile accessibility, you'll be able to access Workday via mobile, and we'll be providing job aids and instructions on how to do that if you're interested. Okay, any questions, concerns, please feel free to drop them off in the chat as I go along, or you're welcome to unmute yourself and ask away. Okay. Do please note that we will be updating Workday with your accrual balances on November 11th. So if you log on prior to January 11th, I'm sorry. So if you log on prior, let's say between January 1st and January 10th, and you look at your balances, just note that those numbers will not be correct, okay? And any time off requests for January or thereafter should be made once January comes, so after go live. Any requests that have already been submitted through Kronos and that have been approved, we are trying very hard from our end to update Workday with those requests, but it still hasn't been confirmed. So as soon as we know more information, we will send out communication to you and to your to the entire community really, and let you know if those requests need to be resubmitted through Workday. Okay. Any questions? I'll take a pause there. Okay. Just a quick a quick note on terminology changes that will hopefully help you as we transition is that one big change, I think, from Workday, from Kronos to Workday is going to be the term absence. So Workday refers to absence as anything related with time off and leave of absence. So when you see absence, just know that it includes time off requests like vacation, sick, kin care, jury duty, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Another big change that you're going to see, and not necessarily as an exempt employee, but for those of you that are supervisors, is that in what we know in Kronos as a historical correction will be known in Workday as a retro. Okay, so when you see retro changes, as far as time goes in Workday, that is a historical correction, or what Kronos names as a historical correction. Okay. Resources. So we have our time tracking website available to you. I hope that you've navigated through it, that you're regularly visiting the website. I just updated it today with a new video. So please check in regularly. This is going to be your go-to for how-to job aids, how-to videos, recorded training sessions, et cetera, et cetera. We also have a frequently asked questions section that hopefully answers all of your most popular questions. But if there's anything on there that is a question that you have that is not on there, feel free to reach out to me or to our HR team, and we'll do our best to get your question answered in a timely manner. We also have all of our job aids and videos on within Workday in the resources application, and I'll show you what that looks like in the demonstration. And then you obviously have your supervisor as a resource, and you have yours truly and Hortensia and the entire HR team as a resource. Okay. So in just a couple of minutes, I will be demonstrating what you will experience in Workday time tracking through our Tenant 2 Workday. So this is a replica of our Workday production site. It was set up for testing purposes, so you are welcome to go in and play around and get familiar with Workday time tracking. The site will be available until the end of this week on December 16th. So if you are interested, I recommend that you log on. I will be sharing the link with everyone after our meeting today. And just note that the last refresh for this site happened on August 31st. So any changes that have happened since then will not be available in this tenant. So don't be alarmed if there's something that seems outdated. It's just that it hasn't been refreshed since. All right. So we will jump right into our demonstration, which I think is where we will learn most of our training today. So here I am logged on as Jose Test. Jose is an exempt employee. Okay, he now sees two new applications when he logs on to Workday. He has his absence application and he has a time and absence application. The time and absence application is dedicated for supervisors to be able to manage time and absence for their employees. So to learn more about this application specifically, I welcome you to attend our supervisor training on Thursday. There is a registration link, so please feel free to register for that training. So today we're going to focus on the absence application and really what Jose can do for his absence needs. Okay, when we click on the application, we are able to make requests here by clicking Request Absence. We are able to see our absence and our absence balances. And then we're also quickly able to see our balance as of today towards the bottom. Okay, so we click Request Absence, and that's going to take us to our absence calendar. Okay, in this absence calendar, I can navigate using these navigation tools up here, go from month to month, and then also go from even year to year. Okay. I can update this balance as of date if I want to forecast what my absence or my accruals will be as of a future date. So if I wanted to, let's say I'm planning for a trip come June 1st, I can update it and my vacation will automatically update with my balance as of that date. This balance does include any time off requests that I've submitted and that are approved for in between now and June. Okay, so if I requested 2 weeks off in April, those balances would reflect accordingly, and remove that time that I would be using in April. Okay, to request time off, it's really very simple. You can select the days by clicking on the days, or unselect them if you choose to not include them. Okay, so if I'm going to be selecting 2 days, I click on the days and then I click request absence. I then need to tell the system what type of time off I'm requesting. Okay, so I'm going to request vacation, sick, kin care, etc. For this demonstration, we're going to do vacation time. My position automatically populates. There's nothing I need to do with that. I click next. In this next screen, I am able to make edits to the number of hours that I'm requesting. Okay, so if let's say I want to take half a day only on the 9th, I can go in here and I can click edit quantity. Okay, and then I edit the quantity. I can add a note here that I am requesting the morning off, for example. And why we recommend that you include specific details if you're not taking a full day off is because there's really nowhere in the system where you can specify the time that you're going to be off. So if you're taking, for example, 8 to 12 instead of 1 to 5. So by including that in your comment, you're making sure that your supervisor is aware of that time that you're going to be off. Okay, and then we click done. We can include additional comments here. We can include files. For example, if you are summoned for jury duty, you can take a picture of that if you're using your mobile device and then include the photo here. When I'm ready, I click submit. And now my request has been submitted. I get the confirmation and I can see it on my absence calendar here. Do notice that this request is in gray, and when I hover over the request, I see that it's submitted. I can see the status of my request. Okay, if I want to cancel my request, I can select it and then cancel this request. Okay, and the reason why I can just cancel it is because there's no approval yet. Okay, my supervisor hasn't approved it, so I can just simply cancel it. I am going to log on now as Michelle Test, who is Jose's supervisor. And Michelle now has the absence request in her inbox. Okay, so as Michelle, I select the request. I can see the details. No, I don't want a tour. Thank you very much. Okay, I can see the details here on the right side. So first day off, second day off, okay, the total number of hours, the type of request, and then the comments. See, so now my supervisor, as Michelle, knows that I'm taking the morning off. Michelle can approve your request. They can send back the request. Say, I don't know, they want you to take the full day off instead of just half a day. They can send it back to you to make edits, or they can deny it. Okay. If for all 3 of these, whatever the supervisor determines, you will get an email notification letting you know. Okay, let's approve the request as Michelle. Now, if we go back in as Jose, and we navigate to his absence calendar, request absence, we will see that the request for January, I believe it was the 9th and 10th, is now in green, and it is showing the status of approved. Okay, We also can now see in our notifications icons that we received a confirmation that the request has been approved by our supervisor. And this will also be sent to your email as an email notification. Okay. If you attempt to request time off, for example, let's say you have only 200 hours, no, not 200. Let's say you have 10 hours available and you try to request 16 hours off, then you will receive an error that you cannot submit hours over your available balance in your bucket. Okay. I'll take a minute there and pause. Any questions or concerns? Perfect. Okay. So now, again, you're able to see your balance here on the left-hand side, but you're also able to use the absence application. And see your absence balance here. Okay. When you go here, you can enter again a future date, say May 1st, 2023. And it'll give you really a big report, all kinds of information. But what you want to focus on is this here, the ending period balance, okay, including events. So this will really give you an idea of what your balance would be, including any submissions that you have prior to this date. Okay. If we go back to the absence calendar and we view my absence, this is going to give you a historical of all the absence requests that you've submitted. And this is per day. Okay, so it's really a historical of what your absence calendar looks like. And the status right here. You can look into more details by clicking view more, etc., etc. Okay, and then if you click on process, after you go in the detail, you can also then see where, if this request is pending approval, where it's sitting, and who's up next, etc. All right. So again, as a reminder, as an exempt employee, you no longer have a time card. Okay, so all you have really is this absence calendar. And then for supervisors, you'll have the time and absence application available. Okay, so I'll go ahead and stop share and open it up for questions, comments, concerns. I hope it's pretty straightforward and user-friendly, but you know, until we're in the system, I think that's when we'll really know how we feel. Again, I recommend that you log on into our testing tenant and try it out and see for yourself what it's like. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Hi everyone, I'm Nancy. Sometimes or oftentimes, the days off kind of happen afterward, so we could still do it after the time has passed, like for the kin care and the sick days. Those are never pre-planned.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. There's really no, I think, timeline as to how long you have to do it. I think that even if you try within a year or so, you could probably go back as far as that. 365 days is the furthest you could go to enter time or enter request.
What would be the suggestion for like how long to wait? Because honestly, I'm terrible at doing my time card. Kara always has to remind me, so I just have a feeling that without that like strict like due date,
we're going to continue. I'm sorry. We're going to continue to remind you guys to do it by the end of the month.
Okay.
For monthly employees. We're going to continue that practice. So I recommend that you adhere to that. If, say, for instance, your child gets sick and you have to use a kin care day, the next day you get to work, I would recommend you going in and doing it at that point. However, you do have till the end of the month.
Okay. I think that's I mean, if that's kind of what we're already doing as a practice, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
easier
not
to
gonna
fall
really
into
change.
that than to start an entire new
Mhm.
way of doing things. Thank you.
Right. And it'll probably change from approval to submitting your time off, right? 'Cause that's really what we want, for you to go back and think about or remember which days you took off during the month and make sure that your absence calendar reflects those days in the system. Great question, Nancy. Thank you. Anyone else? Janessa,
Just
yes.
because I've been off for a significant amount of time, when you are taking time off, as long as you have a balance, you don't need to provide, do you have to provide doctor's notes or anything like that? Is that only if you are extended time off, or?
No, if it has something to do with just your regular sick time that you need to take off, then that's probably a conversation that I would recommend you have with our team and with your supervisor. And then we can direct you on how we can ensure that that time is reflected appropriately if needed, right?
Okay.
Great question. And off of that too, I think, Janessa, one thing that maybe I didn't necessarily go into, but you can initiate a leave of absence request if you wanted to in the system. So that's part of now the absence module, right? You can initiate the request, and then that would come to us in HR to then start that conversation with you if you need to take a leave.
Thank
So
you.
that's all part of the absence module. No problem.
Crystal, in the beginning, you mentioned something about the accruals not being, can you refresh my memory? I think you said it's not going to be accurate on Chronos
Yep, it's not going to be accurate in Workday until January 11th.
Oh, okay.
So in January 11th, yep, we will bring in the balances that were in Chronos.
Okay, so but Chronos is correct right now.
Correct. Yep.
Got it.
As
Perfect.
long as you
Thank
have your time card updated.
Yes, yeah. Good point. I noted. Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And again, you have the resources available to you come this change. If you have anything that you want to meet with me, I'm happy to meet with you and guide you on the change. Okay. All right, everyone.
Second question, sorry. For the corrections, do the supervisors initiate those? Or do we initiate those? Like if I requested time off in advance and it got approved, but then I didn't end up taking it because, you know, stuff comes up and I'm needed. Just the correction.
That's a great, thank you, Nancy. I don't think I went over that. So let me go back and show you what that looks like. So I showed you how to cancel a request that wasn't yet approved, but not necessarily one that was. So when you have in your example a request that you've submitted and that has been approved, you go to the request, you click on it, and then you can either delete it, right, by selecting this negative button, which removes it from your request, or you can make an update here. Okay, so this here removes it, or if you need to edit it, you can edit it here this way. Say you want to cancel your vacation, you remove both days here, and then you submit. So now because it has been approved, it's actually going to go back to your supervisor for them to approve the change that was already submitted and approved by them. Okay.
That was going to be my follow-up questions. Like, are they going to get a notification so that kind of everyone knows that this got canceled? And it can be canceled in advance and canceled, like, if on the 6th, I requested this in December, on the 6th, I realize it's not going to happen. I can cancel it on the 6th, or I can cancel it on the 11th if I ended up working those days after all.
Absolutely. Yep.
Thank you.
So remember, a request that is submitted but not approved can be canceled without notifying or without it going to your supervisor. A request that is already approved will go back to any changes that you make on it, will go back to your supervisor to let them know that there is a change in place. Thank you, Nancy. I totally oversaw. sharing that with everyone.
And Crystal, did you say that the supervisor training, we should take that? I mean, we need to take that. Each supervisor should take that.
You
Yeah.
should. We recommend it so that you understand and know how to approve time cards, how to approve requests, things like that. So it is highly recommended.
Okay, thank you.
And we have the recordings too. If you can't make the session live, we have the recorded training sessions available.
Great, thank you so much.
Of course. Any other questions? Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope this was helpful. Again, when the time comes, if you need help, feel free to reach out.